तो
तो क्या चल रहा है आजकल एशिया कप में?
There's an Asia Cup on.
ऑफ कोर्स। एंड अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट देखो, मतलब इट्स द मोस्ट एक्सपांडेड एशिया कप फील्ड, so as to speak. And then ठीक है, associates have not had the best of times and all, but hijack करने पहुंच गए ये जो नाराज फूफा जी टाइप्स। बस, now that is all this tournament is about now.
Yeah, I think we've kind of, just because of the narrative that's been around, we've not even paid attention to how well UAE have played.
Across, हाँ, even in the tri series, मतलब
Hmm.
their batting standards are really up. अभी इंडिया के खिलाफ जो है वो भूल जाओ, because it's a really difficult bowling attack to face for any side, let alone an associate can
Yeah,
give
yeah.
you the variety and all of that. Mystery spin, pace, uh, रिस्पिन सब
Then the
है,
spin.
तो
Yeah.
इट्स रियली डिफिकल्ट फॉर एन एसोसिएट साइड टू फेस, तो दैट 50 ऑल आउट टाइप ओमान वाला मैचेस विल हैपन इन T20, those sort of blowouts, but otherwise I'm very impressed with, like, even Hong Kong the way they played yesterday. तो मैंने
Yeah,
सोचा कि
they almost pushed Sri
या
Lanka.
एज अ पॉडकास्ट दैट केयर्स अबाउट मोर देन जस्ट इंडिया, आई थॉट इससे शुरू करना चाहिए एंड नॉट द मदर ऑफ ऑल एनकाउंटर्स which will be the rest of our conversation today. The mother of all battles, पिछले 10 साल से या पिछले 15 साल से, जब से मैंने होश संभाला है क्रिकेट देखते देखते, ये बोल बोल के तुमको परोसा गया है कि मदर ऑफ ऑल बैटल्स है, मदर ऑफ ऑल बैटल्स है, एंड यू ऑल फेल इनटू दिस ट्रैप कि यही है मदर ऑफ ऑल बैटल्स। एंड बिकॉज सारा प्रोजेक्शन, सारा जो अल्टीरियर मीनिंग जो तुमने एसोसिएट कर लिया इस गेम के साथ, तो so I'll tell my bit of it and then I'll throw it open to you guys कि progressively ना, I think even post 2012-13 ish, तभी से ही फटीग स्टार्टेड टू सेट इन मेरे लिए। इंडिया पाकिस्तान फिक्सचर्स का फटीग स्टार्टेड टू सेट इन अराउंड 27-8 when there were a lot of India Pakistan matches. Somehow the sting got taken away from the encounters, मतलब ज्यादा फ्रीक्वेंटली होता है तो वो नहीं होता था। बट उसके बाद में देखता था ना, मतलब वो एक होता है ना कि कोई पॉपुलर टीवी शो है तो मैं नहीं देखूंगा टाइप का, तो मेरा क्रिकेटिंग इक्विवेलेंट था इंडिया पाकिस्तान कि मोस्ट पीपल हु वुड शो अप ऑन दीस डेज दैट पीपल हु वुड जनरली नॉट केयर अबाउट दिस गेम फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द ईयर, लेकिन वर्ल्ड कप इंडिया पाकिस्तान, अरे ये तो पाकिस्तान से नहीं हारने का, वर्ल्ड कप हारेगा तो चलेगा, मतलब। तो वो सबका लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन ये जिंगोइज्म का, आज अचानक से तुम बोलोगे कि बॉयकॉट कर दो, तो हो पाएगा क्या ये?
But were you boycotting before boycotting was a thing? Were you the OG boycotter? That's what I want to start with.
नहीं, आई वॉज नॉट बॉयकॉटिंग इट, बट मेरे को हमेशा से
No,
ये
I'm
एक
kidding.
रहता था। हाँ।
I do think you're right in the 2007-8 fatigue, and I think there's a very clear line we can draw. Between 89 and 95, India and Pakistan did not play at all, right? Uh, and then 95, they played in that single cup nonsense, Singapore, Sharjah stuff. 95, Kashmir insurgency happens. So India and Pakistan at this point are not playing bilateral. So they're like, okay, how do we solve this? India and Pakistan need to play. And very importantly, the World Cup game in Bangalore was a classic,
रियली लाइक ऑन द एज कॉन्टेस्ट ऐसा,
classic
कैरी।
contest, right? In terms of the
माय
tension, the in-game, the match was great. And you could understand Pakistan, India is becoming a very good ODI team. And B, Pakistan are a team of, yes, maverick talents, but two, three great players, not good players, two, three great players. So how do we solve this? We go to Toronto to play ODI cricket. We play in 96, we play in 97, I think we play in 98. In 99, Pakistan come to India for a full series. India takes 5 more years to go in 2004. And from 2004, we played Pakistan every bloody year until 2007, the end of 2007, which explains the fatigue. I mean, the whole charm of what we built as India Pakistan cricket was, yes, it was scarce, but it didn't happen with the frequency that even India Pakistan cricket happens now. It's not as scarce as we think it is. We play them every other bloody year or every year a bunch of times in the Asia Cup.
and even like
So
Even more than we care to admit, we talk of all the Sharjah, Singapore stuff as nonsense now. The way fixtures are being rigged now, even the World Cup, Asia Cup fixtures are not happening ऐसे ही ना, मतलब randomly नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब
Oh yeah, that's been
it's not like the
the
2011 World Cup
2000.
even, right? When they were in different groups and the semi-final happened, so it gains
But
importance that
2011
way.
was too late to plan. They tried
Hmm.
to,
Hmm.
because 2007 was when it broke down. Because India and Pakistan were supposed to meet in the Super 8s. Both got knocked out in the first round. So the T20 World Cup, they met. They were supposed to always going to meet once. That was
Hmm.
going to be the thing. And they met in the finals. 2011, they couldn't change it
Because of
because
this thing
2008
that
had
they want,
happened by then.
and they didn't want to Pakistan to travel to India in the late stages, and like wanted to put
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
as late as possible. That sort of a scenario.
Yeah, so the fatigue is real, man. But also, what I would like to add, and we please chip in, is that yeah, I think it's important to also address that we grew up around two things. A sensational Pakistan team, like uh, Saeed, Salim Malik, and then Moin, Razak, Azhar Mahmood, Waqar, Wasim, Shoaib, Saklan, Mushi. They would get Akib, and Akib would bowl well. Inzi was a legend in the making. Uh, Yusuf Yohana, who became Mohammad Yusuf, superb player. So we grew up around a sensational Pakistan.
Yunus Khan.
Yunus Khan a bit later, Yunus and Shoaib a bit later. But yes, we grew up. And secondly, what also happened was that there was a tremendous amount of respect and love between the Indian team and the Pakistan team. The stories of enmity were a bit overplayed. So we grew up in that climate, and also in our schools, in our textbooks, in our schools, in our houses, we were taught the concept of respect for in sport, respect on the pitch, respect off the pitch, which is not the climate today, and it's unfortunate.
So, me before you
But
jet in, so
all
to
of this
both of you.
is
So at what point did you guys break out of this idea like of loading sport with civilizational metaphors and cultural metaphors? Like at what point did you realize that this is way too crass and cringe? Like I don't want to consume sport through this lens. Like once you're done with like, the logical flow, maybe it's a question that I want to ask both of you.
Kargil year, 1999. I'll tell you why. Because we were in class 4. Kargil was massive, right? We are 8, 9 years old, and the
Mm,
news of Kargil has spread in. And the obvious Pakistan is the obvious singular enemy. There is no,
mm.
like, we were at war with Pakistan. There is a piece of footage that is not shown during the 99 Test series in India, which was just pre Kargil, but the tensions had started. Wasim Akram comes with a gift and gives it to Sachin Tendulkar. And he says, "This is for the baby. How's the baby? How's your
Was it
wife? How are they all
Kargil or
doing?"
was it
And
just
Sachin
before
said,
that in the home
just this
series?
is just before Kargil
Huh, huh.
in the home series. Then post Kargil, they play the World Cup Super Six game in Manchester. And before that as well, a few couple of weeks before, Sachin has lost his father. Before that match as well, right after Kargil, all the Pakistani players went and shook his hands and kind of spent a moment with him, patted him on the back. And that is when you knew that what you're hearing about India versus Pakistan as a sporting contest and as a metaphor for war, that is not true, because you are seeing Shoaib bowl Yorkers and the riots at Eden Garden, but you are also seeing an enormous amount of respect for each other, which when you're 9, 10, it's very very influential. And I think that World Cup Super Six game was when I realized, no, it's not as bad as you make it out to be.
yeah, I mean, I think around the same time, I think that uh, after this, there was tension in the 2003 World Cup game. But that tension you got to know, I think, 10, 11, 12 years later when that Cricinfo piece came out about that game. कि उस दिन टेंशन था, लोग खाना नहीं खा रहे थे, बुफे में नहीं जा रहे थे, एंड बंच ऑफ दोज थिंग्स. बट I mean, it was a different time, na? मतलब
But was it a religiously
there
loaded
was
tension
an opposition.
in that sense in around the 2003 game? There was a lot riding on it. We were not winning against Pakistan very often. We hadn't played them for a while. So that scarcity led to some sort of tension. But were you consciously seeing it as some sort of a cultural battle even in 2003?
No, I would no, not at all for me, and I'm assuming MV would say the same.
नहीं यार, not at all. I mean, यार, there was a sense that this is a big game. This is a game between two sporting
Good team,
nations,
two good
two
teams.
good teams.
Yeah.
All of that was there. कि like India's batting versus Pakistan's bowling, and मतलब वो सारा narrative था ना. आज narrative is आसिफ मुनीर versus some Doval or Modi or something like that ना. मतलब वो I mean, Manmohan Singh was there in the 2011 World Cup game, na. But was the narrative towards Manmohan Singh in any way, or for that matter, any other leader at that point in time? No, it wasn't.
And therein lies the
आज ये
question,
नहीं है
right?
ना. आज तो इतना खराब हालत है कि the leader who is the anointed leader has to essentially buy PR to share with the world that there will be an invisible boycott. And the fact that this tournament was always supposed to have that kind of tension, because it's all like पैसा बन रहा है यार. 12 लाख रुपया 10 सेकंड के लिए
तो at
लोग
some
दे रहे हैं,
level
पैसा बन रहा है.
किसी ने ये सोचा होगा ना कि प्रॉफिटियर करते हैं ये बॉयकॉट वाले माहौल से भी सर हमारा फायदा होगा. जितना लोग ज्यादा बोलेंगे, जितना
हाँ
एडजी
हाँ,
होगा
ये
माहौल. हाँ, ये लॉजिकली किसी ने सोचा होगा ना एज अ वे ऑफ.
कौन सोचेगा यार ये सब. सी, डज एनीथिंग हैपन without the tacit approval of Amit Shah in cricket? That's the fundamental question. जो भी ना बोल रहा है इसको, प्लीज जाके आईने में देखो और देखो कि अगर तुम्हारे सर पे कुछ लिखा हुआ है.
एंड ये मेरा
Does
मतलब.
anybody think कि जय शाह has any modicum of क्या बोलते हैं strategy or anything in his mind?
Nice choice of word, MP. Nice
देयर
choice
इज
of word.
व्हाट इज स्ट्रेटेजी मेरा. एंड दिस इज डिस्क्लेमर एंड किसी को बताने की जरूरत है नहीं कि आई एम स्पीकिंग फॉर ऑल थ्री ऑफ अस हियर दैट neither this idea of boycott or this idea that matches hone chahiye with all the loaded jingoism, we are far from this, right? We have moved far away from this. So if it happens, it happens as a sporting contest. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it happens to be a
And
knockout
first,
fixture,
नहीं
ये
नहीं
rigging
नहीं,
से भी
एक
problem है. हाँ.
हाँ, मुझे तो नहीं, मुझे नहीं, दूसरा दूसरा एक और जो बात है ना कि it is sold to us as this mega contest. It's not, right. I know sport has a non-zero chance and all of that. Ki on their day, maybe even this Pakistan team has a chance of beating this BCCI bracket India team. But the Gulf तो दिखता है ना.
वो तो it's been a while
कि
and
इस
there is.
बात का क्या बोलते हैं हाँ, एग्जैक्टली ना.
वो
तो
गल्फ
वो
इज.
कब रियलाइज करेगा कोई.
वो gulf is not
वो
merely because of talent and its resources, it's the mismatch. There are a lot of things which lead to gulf between India and any number of sides in international cricket.
exactly. No, exactly. But the fact of the matter is कि this public decided that we will outrage because there is no boycott. Then they decided that we will do a fake boycott. And then the corporates of this public itself decided कि हम 12 लाख रुपया देंगे पर 10 सेकंड का ad and buy out every ad slot. डिसाइड करो ना क्या करना है तुमको.
और ये दिस therein is the contradiction कि इतने सालों तक जिंगोइज्म परोसा गया है. 96 से ही पकड़ के शुरू करते हैं जब से एक्टिव मार्केटिंग शुरू हुआ है. जिंगोइज्म ये जो all the typical ads that ये except for the first Mocha, everything else that followed was in bad
Yeah.
faith. It wasn't banter, right? So you loaded this contest with everything, with this idea that जितना हम उसको लोड करेंगे उतना इवेंचुअली उसके ऊपर क्या होगा कि पैसा बना सकते हैं. And now the logical conclusion is that you made these tournaments about, like, you made it the only pathway for you to make money out of these tournaments, because you yourselves believe, right? You as this marketing honcho at Star Sports definitely would believe this notion that इंडिया पाकिस्तान अगर लीग में नहीं हो तो टूर्नामेंट का पैसा नहीं बनेगा. ये किसी ने तो मान लिया है ना इस बात को. तो तुमने लोड किया विथ दिस आइडिया दैट उसको स्पोर्टिंग बैंटर भी नहीं रखा है. तुमने उसको रिलीजियस बनाया, तुमने उसको सिविलाइजेशनल बैटल बना दिया, which would have at some point led to this standoff, this boycott gang going after you, because then
So
there will be someday.
the marketing honcho at Star Sports and whatever Hotstar, Geo,
Hmm.
they are very, very smart. They know what the pulse is like, and they were very perceptive in the sense that they know what tomorrow will be like in this climate. If I don't want to say talk to you, right? And tomorrow I think, hey, I don't necessarily agree with your views and I don't want to associate with you. Will I announce it to the world that I'm not talking to you, or will I just not talk to you?
Exactly.
If you see how the boycott has played out, and putting air quotes for boycott, how it has played out, it is that everyone has beaten their chest and said, I want to boycott. Just
मैं
bloody
बॉयकॉट
don't
कर
talk
रहा है,
about it, no, if you want to boycott.
इसीलिए मैं इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया वुमेन्स ओडीआई देखूंगा, कमिंग फ्रॉम द सेम पीपल हु डोंट गिव अ डैम अबाउट
Oh,
वुमेन्स
don't
स्पोर्ट.
even start, man. Just the
And
thing.
then you have
Don't
made
start.
you have made the women's game this thing of chest thumping का marketing के लिए, मतलब to just to signal it to the world that I am boycotting this, so I am nationalist, so I'll watch. And
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
like Super Sunday like fixture lists, man.
It was a good Sunday of sport, I'll be honest.
नहीं
There's a
नहीं,
lot happening. There was the
let it
badminton,
be.
there was the hockey.
But are these people really, you really believe these guys
No,
were
I
in
think
that
most of the
for
people who were beating their
the
chest
sport?
watched the game. Most of the people who were talking about boycott, I was speaking to MV, I think on Twitter or somewhere, is that most of the people who were speaking of boycotting, they would have at least kept tabs. And
बॉस प्लीज, मतलब लेट्स नॉट बीट अराउंड द बुश. सब देख रहे थे, सबके
I
सब
agree.
देख रहे थे.
I was just being
pubs
polite.
pubs were full. Pubs were full. Swiggy orders and Zomato orders were I'm sure at an all-time high.
They were
People were
running offers.
not leaving their house. Jingoism was fed to the society at all levels,
So
and
this
everybody lapped it up.
and this messaging of boycott actually fed even more to the jingoism, right? Because the boycott वाला भी ये
Yeah,
इससे
yeah.
नहीं यार कि मैं थक गया हूँ ये jingoism से स्पोर्ट में, आई वांट टू वॉच अ गुड स्पोर्टिंग कॉन्टेस्ट, तो मैं आई विल जस्ट बॉयकॉट, वैसा नहीं. इट इज. एंड सोचो, these people who will 2 weeks later, when India loses to say Australia or England in the Women's World Cup, यही लोग उठ के बोलने वाले हैं कल कि अरे इक्वल पे क्यों मिल रहा है, मतलब ये
Equal
वही
pay.
लोग हैं बेसिकली. तो
वंस अगेन, बिकॉज ये फिर से बोल रहा हूँ यार, ये इक्वल पे नहीं है.
नहीं है. अरे वो
नहीं है,
एयर कोड
but
सिग्नल थे, उनके
that is the
दिमाग में है
narrative
ना.
that they push, no,
So
including
so
Vicky
so
Bhai, front
it
foot
was
Vicky
so
Bhai.
opportunistic for you to just pick on an India Australia game and this is the only India game happening today. It is basically you are also trying to profit here from this idea of boycott. कोई भी किसी का भी stand, and the ones who have watched or covered this have done it from this really like ऐसा vulgar sense, obscene way of covering it, which Rev Sports and Vikrant Gupta types will do, which is like नाक रगड़ दिया इनको तो
I think
दादी
only
याद
people
दिला
did
दी.
not even address it, which is the correct way. Like, okay, if you really want to not watch it, and for whatever reason, we're not going to go there. The way to do it is just actually just not address it. And I think the Wire refused to address the game. They have not published a piece about it. They didn't write about it. They weren't tweeting about it. They're like, okay, we are not going to watch it. We think we don't want to watch it. This game is not happening according to us. And they didn't need to announce it to the world. And they didn't need to make it like a motif that every day I'm coming and telling you what I am not watching. Why are you watching? Can't you forsake one game? So I think it's not just the posture of it. I think it's, like you rightly said, the profiteering of it is that we're all trying to gain social capital and look a certain way and appeal to, in quotes, the masses by saying, hey, I am suddenly a patriot and a nationalist, and I am not going to watch a game that I deeply love because these two countries are playing, and this would be disrespectful to 26 women who've lost their men. And through all, I am thinking, boss, you know what the greatest disrespect to them was? Allowing four randos to come into that place. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to segue there. But I think we've gone past the point where playing against them for good or bad reason is adding salt to the wound. It is really not. So there was channels profited, social media accounts profited, politicians profited, and politicians of both sides actually of the fence, not just the establishment. There are opposing politicians who, constantly went on. They were getting likes by the thousands. So yeah, everyone profited.
Totally, and this is something that I would like to I'll dare go in that territory. A lot of the anti-Pakistan noises in India, you cannot detach it from the inherent Islamophobia that people have. So
True.
any opportunity that they get to punch down, they use Pakistan as a placeholder, and then they get to do everything and get to say everything that they
I
cannot
have a theory why
otherwise.
Pahalgam matters more. I don't think as a country we care about dead people. People die in this
We
country
don't
all
care about
day,
that
every
people.
day, by the thousands. This is not to trivialize the terrible loss of life in Pahalgam, of course not. But the reason Pahalgam evoked such outrage, because a xenophobic country like ours, we got a chance to step on the bodies of dead people and aim our rifles at our favorite
It's
enemy.
the perfect
We
enemy.
the perfect enemy. We got the license to say something we want to say in public but don't often feel comfortable saying. Now we could broadcast it, and we could, like you said, we could just beam our Islamophobia or an anti-Pakistan sentiment to the world. And this is not just a arbitrary group of people in the distance. This is happening within our families, within our friends, people we know and love. I that's why Pahalgam mattered so much. Not 26 people dying. People
26
are
people dying now. 44 people died in 2019. There were noises of a boycott before the 2019 World Cup as well. It's never
yeah.
about the lives lost. If it was about the lives lost,
The death count in
SCO
Manipur,
wouldn't have happened, right?
seriously.
Like we as a country, if we genuinely care about people whose lives were lost, because दो महीने पहले तो the narrative was that it's China and Pakistan together and all of that, right? So you went to a summit which had the Pakistan Prime Minister and also had the Chinese president, and then the Chinese premier now is kosher because
Yeah.
see, it's very easy to detach from like boycott Turkey बोलना आसान है मतलब क्योंकि again you can project Turkey as a good enemy because good to have enemy because domestically it profiteers.
Can I say
You
this line
profiteer from
that
that,
Prem
right?
Panikkar wrote in his blog?
Hmm.
He wrote about, on his Substack, he wrote about Turkey with Pakistan, right? And India getting really
Hmm.
angry that why
Hmm.
is Turkey with Pakistan? And Prem Panikkar wrote that, did you think Pakistan just ordered Turkey's support and a few drones on Swiggy? Do you not know how long back Pakistan and Turkey's association goes? Turkish drones weren't available on Swiggy for Pakistan to just order in. So, and during the Champions Trophy, these guys were all chilling with the Pakistani ex-cricketers, their board.
Hmm.
So, it was a complete how do I say this? It was a complete illusion that you know
So
suddenly
on
the
the
BCCI is caring about
so the
the
noises on the liberal side also, right? Asking
yeah.
for a boycott is the lowest hanging fruit when it comes politically because it feeds So you don't have to signal, मतलब तुम्हारा Islamophobia also gets satisfied, and then you also get to ask questions to a government which is very weak in some sense. Like, this is the only place where I can ask questions to the government without being told that I'm an anti-national. मतलब उस level का low hanging fruit it is, right? Because now you can get away with it, right? So now I have raised the Pakistan bogey. So who is the anti-national now? So
Also, you are questioning, like, the biggest beams went to ex-cricketers, Bollywood actors. Like, the toughest questions were asked to these guys, not to the people who were making these decisions. So if you truly wanted to change things, if you truly wanted this match to not happen, you would have taken your mic and your camera and your Obi Vans and reached outside the gates of the man who can literally make the Asia Cup not happen. But for that, you need something which in Spanish is known as cojones. And unfortunately, that's not one of the many things our media has.
But it's that easy thing, na? मतलब that we don't ask the questions of the right people, and it is by design that if BJP loses, then JP Nadda is to blame, and BJP wins, even like a
Rajiv Shukla is to
local.
blame in this case.
No, in this case, wait, Modi ji, you know what I'm talking about. तो कोई भी सवाल नहीं कर रहा है
Arnab का देखा क्या?
across.
Did you watch the Arnab implosion?
यार
He went nuts on, and he started asking questions to Sachin,
Rahul
and he said, "The
Dravid.
country is giving you so much love. What more do you need?" He started asking it to Saurabh or a bunch of ex-cricketers, and he claimed that no one will ask you but Arnab. And I thought, Arnab, you shouldn't be asking. If you really were a journalist, if you were the jaw of journalists, even, you would have asked it to the right person, who it turns out signs your paycheck. So I guess you don't.
And even Arnab, basically all of them are doing it because talking about the boycott, ironically, is going to get you more views.
Yeah, of
So
course.
that's again, you are again making money out of the lives lost. It's not as if you care again. Like, if you really cared about lives lost, those
क्या
26 women who
एक
lost their
सेकेंड अगर
husbands,
if you
तो सिंदूर का तुमको अगर पड़ा
if you
होता, you
really
wouldn't be.
cared,
हाँ.
you would be asking questions who are the perpetrators. You would be asking questions ki
Why would they allowed inside the
But
most militarized zone
exactly.
in the world?
हाँ
the easiest thing to ask is कि
आपकी बिल्डिंग में इस चोरी होती है.
रवि शास्त्री ने वसीम अकरम के
Sorry,
साथ
let
कमेंट्री
me draw this
कैसे किया?
analogy. I think I'm very glad that happened, man,
Yeah.
on Sony, because I am very glad Sony refused to pander to any of this. And they just said, listen, man, all of us respect Wasim Akram. Wasim has great relationships with all of us. We are going to do commentary. We are going to sit with him in the studio. We are not going to bat an eyelid. That is the way to go. If
भाई
you are having a contest, there has to be an inherent respect towards people you already respect. If you don't, for example, have respect towards Fahim Ashraf, for whatever reason, for his skill sets, for how he behaves, or an Abrar Ahmed, let's just say, then you don't, and it's cool. And I guess you don't chill with him. But Shastri and Wasim go back a long way. And I'm very glad Sony didn't pander to the, in quotes, nationalist sentiment and just let them be.
यार mean
तो
Wasim
हमारा
was
solution
allowed inside the country without a visa. Wasim came to the Chennai airport with a ill wife
Yeah.
and was allowed to go
that is
to, I think, Apollo
pre-independence.
Hospital, if I'm not wrong. हाँ, but but I'm saying कि since we are talking, it goes back so much ना, मतलब like so that was our level.
Because immature societies का solutions क्या होता है problems के लिए कि our solution now is that because you cannot ask questions to those in power, you want solutions like this कि people died in a terror attack, so Wasim Akram and Ravi Shastri, who are otherwise personally very good friends, should start beating each other up on live TV. So that is not
Yeah.
about wanting justice. That is about
I'll tell you
your
one
bloodlust
thing
and your
I'm
Islamophobia being fed on live TV. That is all that you want.
one thing that is really really good that didn't happen. I mean ये सब जो भी आप बोल रहे हो ना वो सब हो सकता था if the coach of this team was in the commentary
Commentary.
panel.
वो मार देता किसी को थप्पड़ वप्पड़ लगा देता
Oh,
just
which
to
is very
get.
much because दो साल पहले he was in the combox for the Asia Cup
Hmm.
with Wasim. They had him, Wasim, Irfan.
Mohammad Kaif.
Yeah, these three. And I think Jatin Sapru was anchoring. And he asked each other to name the opposition's favorite bowler, and they were all so complimentary. Like Gambhir said, listen, I know I play spin well. I used to play spin really well. I could not read Saeed Ajmal. He was that good. And he was not making these backhanded compliments. He was very, like, very effusive in his praise. Similarly, Irfan Pathan. Wasim spoke about Sunny, about Sachin. So that respect, even DP World show during the T20 World Cup last year, or Champions Trophy, they got Ajay Jadeja and Nikhil Chopra. It was so sweet here.
Even
Um,
Pujara was there, no?
Even Pujara was there. Sunny was there. In that Sony clip that's just released from the Asia Cup right now, Sunny is, he's gone after the current Pakistan team and he's called them some slang, which is cool. I don't think it's derogatory, but some slang. But he started his story. He's like, "Man, I am watching Pakistan cricket since the 60s. When I ran from the Churchgate station to go to the Brabant and watch Hanif Mohammad Sahab, he used the term Sahab, like, which tells me that behind all the stuff that these guys say on Rev Sports and India Today and whatnot, some from the previous generation have an inherent respect
And that
for
is maturity
their
also, right?
sport, for their sport, and for the people who played it. And that is 100% maturity. That is
Because
being able to look past yourself. Yeah.
I'll take you to 2008 again. मतलब 2008 Mumbai attacks, matlab it shook all of us, and then it still, to a large extent, traumatizes me when I go to those train stations and all of that. But that a mature society or a mature media doesn't use that as an opportunity to like feed you this whole appetite for hate, right, towards any group and stuff. What's happening here is that we do not really want to address the core issues of what conflict is, leads to conflict, what leads to lives being lost in such tragic incidents. It None of it comes from this sense of empathy. It is that every time an India Pakistan conflict happens, it gives these people a reason to hate on fellow Muslims who live in the country, who's who have no fault of that. So an India-Pakistan game, there are no winners. Like War Minus the Shooting has this very great line, like minorities on both sides lose every time these two teams face each other. So
Yeah, 100%.
that's
100%. There, and
and I'm
I
glad
also
like
do think,
uh, that at least these people,
but yeah.
a Shastri or a Gavaskar could have very easily profited from it and postured saying that मैं commentary box में I will not do any I'll not co-commentate with a Bazid Khan or a
Yeah.
Wasim Akram. We'll do all our commentary stints separately and we'll have two separate commentary teams or what. That they could have easily gone for that route. I'm glad they didn't do that and they at least showed some professional honesty to the commentary box, to the
There
sport.
are they because they have friends on that side. 23 World Cup के time पे, just before India Pakistan's game at Ahmedabad, Indian Express released an article of Kiran More, Javed Miadad, Vengsarkar interviews, and they all said that, boss, when we used to go there for a tour, we didn't stay at their hotels. We stayed, like Kiran More said, we stayed at Javed Bhai's house. We stayed at Imran Bhai's house. And those guys came over and they stayed at Dilip Vengsarkar's house or my house, and our wives would go shopping together. Sunny and Imran were the best of friends. So they all said that, listen, I mean, we were and are great friends. And that hasn't changed. This is as recent as 2023. So I
The
think
fundamental question is कि क्या रवि शास्त्री के boycott करने से प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाता. मतलब what do you want, like why do you want the fans in the crowd to not hug each other? क्या प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा अगर कोई चला गया है? Say, think of it from, say, you are someone working in an office in Dubai, you have Pakistani colleagues and you planned a match together, which is one of the shared activities that you can,
Mm.
and then you expect people to just because a skirmish happened at the borders, you expect these people to start beating each other up in places where they are living, coexisting. This is exactly because you want exactly that happening within the borders, right? Like within the boundaries of
You
your
do.
own nation.
You want the dehumanization of everyone who is not like you.
Exactly.
You want to dehumanize every single person who isn't within you and an outer edge of like adjacent to your type. Everyone else is not worthy of respect, dignity, and basic compassion. So,
And one can
if
be completely capable of empathizing with live people who have lost loved ones in terror attacks, while also being respectful to an average
yes,
Pakistani
yes,
who has
and
nothing
knowing
to
and
do with.
drawing the line that listen, I don't want to watch the game. I
Hmm.
know, let's address it, right?
Yeah,
The four people who came in, or the terror attacks in Uri and all these places, they did originate from that
from
country.
Pakistan.
There is no doubt about it. That has been proven beyond doubt. There are repeated cases. Let's not beat around the bush. Pakistan has a problem with controlling its military administration. Their government can or cannot be stable, but the military administration are just whacked out. They have a problem, serious problem. Osama bin Laden wasn't a fictional story. Abbottabad wasn't a fictional story. It is very, very important that we call it out. So, when we are feeling pain for Pahalgam, right? If one of us say Pahalgam hit us hard, so we don't want to watch the game. But the dignity that comes with saying that Shaheen Shah Afridi didn't drop the bullet. Shaheen Shah Afridi has been very nice with the Indian boys. He hasn't said anything wrong. So can we be dignified and civil? I think what we've lost out in the last 10, 15, 20 years with the help of a
Post independence.
global right wing kind of movement and social media is we've lost civility, the ability to be civil. I am either screaming at you or you are my best friend. There is no in between. So just the idea of being there is a space for completely hating the idea of a game against Pakistan because you don't want to hear that name next to your country's name. There is totally a space for that. While saying, you know what, I'll be civil. I do not need to say anything derogatory about any of the Pakistan players. Cool, let them play. I don't want to see us playing them. That's all. End of matter. But we didn't do that, did we?
And civility is also
स्टैंड
like
लेने.
it's.
Go ahead.
नहीं, मेरा एक ही था कि civility is also defined by the lowest of any group, right? So the worst of any group, we tend to draw our standards from there. तो फहीम अशरफ ने बहुत derogatory Instagram अगर कुछ डाल दिया तो social media kind of like is built around this idea that you define then the whole group by what Fahim
Entire team
Ashraf
is this.
is. Bus. And then I'll define my standards by that, and then everything else is totally fine because Fahim Ashraf ने किया ना, तो फिर मैं भी कुछ भी मैं शिखर धवन बन जाऊंगा फिर on our side. So
Yeah. And we've completely kind of forgotten during the 2019 World Cup, during the 2023 World Cup. I attended 2 Pakistan games at the 23 World Cup, man. It was beautiful. Honestly, it was beautiful because the reception was great, the atmosphere was great, no one was hating on each other.
except one venue.
I didn't attend it that. I didn't attend one there. The two I attended were
The home of
very
cricket.
specific home of cricket, the orange home of cricket. The specifically
Guys, the home of the Veer Savarkar Sports Complex
home of
and the future host
Hey,
of
wasn't it
the
the Sardar
Olympics.
Patel Sports Complex?
नहीं, कल एक नया फाल्गुनी पाठक के लिए एक और
तो
स्टेडियम बनाया
वो
उन्होंने।
कितना स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स है? मतलब नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम किसके अंदर आता है? वीर सावरकर स्पोर्ट्स कॉम्प्लेक्स का पार्ट है या सरदार
नहीं
पटेल स्पोर्ट्स
नहीं,
कॉम्प्लेक्स?
नरेंद्र मोदी स्टेडियम इज पार्ट ऑफ सरदार
सरदार
पटेल
पटेल।
स्पोर्ट्स,
We
बट देयर
ठीक
इज
है।
Savarkar,
अनदर वन।
yeah, because they
कल
want
ही
to host
एक
the
खोला।
Olympics, na?
हाँ हाँ, तो इट्स
नो नो,
लाइक
नॉट
ऐसा,
दे, नॉट दे,
इट इज
इज
लाइक अर्थ
नीता
सोलर
अंबानी
सिस्टम,
वांट्स टू होल्ड द ओलंपिक्स।
Yeah,
अर्थ
in
सोलर सिस्टम
2033.
इट्स
मिल्की वे।
So
वन वुमन्स
basically,
ड्रीम।
yeah, so basically, there is a way to be civil and there is a way to say that, listen, I don't like these guys. But I don't need to give them gali, dude. I mean, it's cool. I don't want to see them on my television. I don't feel any kind of empathy slash sympathy towards them. Some of them are proud of their nation,
यार
represent the nation. And let's say, draw the line, वो हम वही कर ही नहीं पाते. हम सीधा
कैसे करेंगे?
the terrorist.
नहीं, कैसे
Podcaster
करेंगे?
को we are calling a terrorist, man. He's on a
अरे
podcast
भाई,
mic.
every 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 person in this country does not have the Spanish word cojones to ask questions to the right people. So that anger has to be directed somewhere else, na?
Yeah,
That
like
anger,
we said that it's given us a license to literally
ah,
broadcast
the
all our
perfect
hatred.
enemy, the
Perfect enemy.
perfect enemy.
And that enemy
Just
has to
broadcast our
always
complete
exist.
hatred at boom.
हाँ,
Take.
अरे,
The
I mean, the again the OG Kamra line. I can remember now कि अगर ये पाकिस्तान का क्राइसिस सॉल्व हो गया तो ये क्या
तो
करेंगे?
वो बोला ना, पाकिस्तान नहीं होता तो तू देशभक्त होता क्या?
होता
बेसिकली
क्या?
वही है कि इट इज इनहेरेंटली तुम्हारा पूरा ऐसा लोकस ही उसी के अराउंड है ना, कि
नहीं क्या है देशभक्ति?
क्रिकेट को ऐसे ही
अभी
बेचा है
अभी
ना। माय प्रॉब्लम इज दैट
क्रि-
यू क्रिएटेड अ लो आईक्यू ऑडियंस हु इज वाचिंग क्रिकेट फॉर दीज रीजंस, कि वो उसको मुसलमान को सबक सिखाएगा, हिंदू मारेगा, मतलब। एंड सामने, एंड देन यू आर डिफाइनिंग कि वकार यूनिस ने वो बोल दिया, अरे उसका लो स्टैंडर्ड है तो तू क्यों अपना स्टैंडर्ड, मतलब यू कैन कंज्यूम द स्पोर्ट थ्रू समथिंग व्हिच इज
नहीं नहीं,
मोर।
there are also this other angle, ठीक है, which हम नहीं समझ पाते हैं, because see the thing is also have to understand Pakistan went through this entire, क्या बोलते हैं ना, डिक्टेटोरियल रेजिम प्लस फाशिज्म एवरीथिंग ना, वो 50 साल पहले वो देख लिया है, ठीक है। सो देयर ह्यूमर इज एट अ मच मच हायर लेवल, ठीक है, जिसको भी खराब लग रहा है सुनने में, सुनो कि देयर ह्यूमर इज एट अ मच मच हायर लेवल, ठीक है। And their shithousery is also at a much, much, much higher level than all of us put together. Which is why they understood that shouting on YouTube will get you views from Indians, and they have doubled down on it. I'm not saying कि वो stupid नहीं है, of course stupid है, बहुत सारे चीज जो वो बोलते हैं टीवी पे, of course it's like, मतलब शर्म आना चाहिए, but it's just pandering to YouTube clicks from India.
Are you talking about the Pakistani two sloggers?
अरे
वैसे
50, अरे यार at one point in time a few years ago, and Amar had come on the podcast also, and our boys were teaching him more about Pakistani YouTube than he knew about Pakistani YouTube. So you
because
realize that us who are not even that impressionable, we are consuming is it's for shits and giggles,
Yeah,
but
100%.
we knew more than Amar himself, and Amar
but
is
those
like कि ये क्या तुम
नहीं
लोग
those
पागल हो गया कि क्या?
those Pakistani channels becoming popular among and people consuming it unironically, मैं उन लोगों का बोल रहा हूँ. A lot of it is to do with the fact that that is a sense of validation you want. You want validation from two groups. One is the white man. So
It's a
you have
Big
all
Boss
of these.
phenomena that we are not them.
Huh. You have all of these like white people reacting to Bollywood, white people reacting to Indian
Yeah,
cricket.
it's
There
the
is
same
that
Big Boss.
niche.
We watch Big Boss to give us as a validation that we are not as bad as them.
Them. So वो एक audience था and they were getting a lot of clicks. And the second was Pakistanis talking, doing this. Ore, क्या दिल्ली की मेट्रो क्या बन गई है, मतलब दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ टोन.
Exactly.
एंड देन यू गेट द सेंस ऑफ वैलिडेशन दैट देखो मतलब पाकिस्तानीज को ना बुरा लग रहा है कि उनका देश हमारे जैसा नहीं है, सो वैलिडेशन. मोदी जी ने क्या मस्त कर दिया, पाकिस्तानीज के मुंह से सुनना है तुमको, कहीं ना कहीं तुम्हारा ये है. यू विल ऑलवेज सी दिस हैपनिंग कि ये फेक न्यूज की पाकिस्तानी पार्लियामेंट में मोदी मोदी चला रहा है कोई, या फिर पाकिस्तान में रैंडम रास्ते पे कोई बोल दिया हमारा पीएम होना चाहिए,
Our
वजीर
sense of
आजम को
national identity and natural pride is that we are not Pakistan.
वी आर नॉट पाकिस्तान इज आवर, that is the stick. But then at the same time, we also want this validation from them in a very weird. So the Bhakt
Oh yeah,
group's
yeah.
relationship with Pakistan is very
अभी
warped.
अभी लोग आ जाएगा, लोग बोलेगा कि अरे बट नॉट ऑल इंडियंस, नॉट, नो नो,
Not
नॉट अस,
क्योंकि
नॉट अस.
तो इस
There
स्पेस में
is
ये है ना कि वो टू स्लॉगर्स टाइप का कंटेंट. एज यू सेड यू कैन हैव
हाँ,
बैंटर, यू
अब
कैन से
मेन
दैट.
कंटेंट पे आते हैं.
हाँ.
sorry,
तो
अब
sorry.
मेन
Before you guys go there, can I just give you one nugget? Post post Uri, there was a period when there was a thing of we will not at all engage with Pakistan after what happened at Uri, right? Terrible stuff. And we've also responded to them, even then the whole narrative was that we don't want to engage with them. I think Wire released an article. They're saying, boss, you have no idea how friendly the back channels between India and Pakistan are. Those countries, they talk to each other every day. So the back channels are open. The two governments are talking to each other. It is nothing like what they're feeding you in terms of the
and the
hatred.
trade that's happening, right? So Shan Masala, who have the
हाँ
best biryani
तो
masala in the
अभी
world,
you are
इंडिया
stopping
में
the
मिलता है
टमाटर now. That means
अमेजोन में. सरप्राइजिंगली तो इस बार मैंने चेक किया, इंडिया में
अरे
अमेजोन में
यार,
शान मसाला
हर
मिलता है.
डिपार्टमेंट स्टोर में मिलता है.
तो वो
yeah.
वाया यूएई
Sorry for
आता
the
है.
digression, but go ahead to the OG.
तो द प्रॉब्लम इज कि मतलब we can all agree on like multiple things, right? And have different subtlety to all of the conversation that happening. You can ask for the Pakistani establishment to be more accountable and to fix its ways with how they handle terror, homegrown terror there, and how what it exports. No one's on that side. मतलब वो तो completely वो that's not a negotiable at all. मतलब वो सबके लिए मतलब that's a shared fact for all of us, right? Like,
True.
be it 2008, be it now. And then at the same time, you can be respectful to an average Pakistani colleague who is working with you if you're working in Dubai, or if you are a Wasim Akram and a Ravi Shastri working, having to professionally work together in a commentary box. That doesn't make you less empathetic towards someone who has lost lives in Pahalgam. तो वो तो ये सब एक साथ एग्जिस्ट कर सकता है. मैं शान मसाला खाते हुए भी, उसका बिरयानी खाते हुए भी, आई कैन बी अ पेट्रियोटिक इंडियन. तो देयर आर सो मेनी लेयर. उसके लिए मेरे को मैच बॉयकॉट नहीं करना है, मतलब
Also, it
अगर
would have
करूं
been
तो भी मुझे.
so
हाँ.
alpha.
हम्म.
It would have been so alpha that you have whacked them on the pitch. 9 out of 10 days, you whack them on the pitch. This Pakistani team, very sadly, is no match to the Indian team. It's not a contest, right? Now you have literally bullied them. Like their top, like if Shaheen Shah Afridi hadn't suddenly discovered his inner Lance Klusner, you would have trampled them in like 2.5 hours of that
80 ऑल
match.
आउट टाइप्स. हाँ.
That you can't get more alpha than that.
हम्म.
You have done your bit. Shake your hands, leave, and then all the messaging on social media that you've given, give by all means. It's your account, you have the right to post whatever you want to. And that would have been so alpha. You would have been alpha without needing to stoop low, where you're going that I don't want to even, because what you're essentially saying is, I don't want to acknowledge their existence. It's not that deep, but yeah, whatever, like somewhere close that I don't want to acknowledge that they played this match. I came here, did my bit, now I'm leaving. Not going into a what looks good or looks bad discussion, but I just feel that um, it you pay respect to a colleague, man. Like your colleague is bowling at you, you've hit him for a four. There's a sense of shared activity to that. You're playing at the highest level of international sport, and everybody deserves respect. I'm not even going into the fact that had Pakistan beaten us, forget that. But just the fact that you're playing in a big rivalry, there has to be a sense of may the best man win. And it's it's very unfortunate that we've lost the whole basic tenet of what sport means, um, and what being sporting means. And it's just tribalism now.
And that is essentially all it is. Like, it's because India Pakistan cricketing contest had ceased to be a good sporting contest a while ago. As MV said, like,
Yeah, yeah.
that asymmetry in resources, the way the teams are structured, post IPL, I think the gulf has widened a lot, except for one or two instances. So the only reason it is the mother of all encounters, everyone, the way it is marketed, is because of this simmering religious undertone that it has. And that is all there is to it. And they fed this, and now they want the same people to boycott it. It's a monster they created. The Sonys and the Star Sports of the world, they have created this monster. Now, if they are
And they
calling for
have no
this boycott,
intention to never play this, by the way. They have no intention to ever boycott an India-Pakistan game. It means
hmm,
too much to them.
hmm.
And it is for them every time, like regardless of the narrative outside, every time it is a cash cow for them. So the
So Willow,
broadcasters and the cricket administrators have no, like, they have no, even inclination to pass this by.
so
बट
Willow TV.
इसका भी प्रोपागेंडा कितना अच्छा है ना, इसका भी प्रोपागेंडा कितना अच्छा है. सो आई हैव 2 points. One, not on the propaganda, but the extension of the propaganda is the fact that ICC realizes that it's very important to double down on this. So what do? They hire Sanjog Gupta, who was the Star Sports head,
Hmm.
as the CEO of ICC.
Who gave the very famous line that in IPL, India will always win.
So, so that is one. And the the second point on the propaganda is that cricketers, I don't know. I think what they have started feeling, at least the modern cricketer, at least I can see very, very clearly, is कि he, he has started feeling कि वो भी soldier है.
Hmm.
And उसमें वो दो टाइप का सोल्जर है. एक तो जवान है, और दूसरा जो इंग्लिश बोल सकता है. एंड
Hmm.
इंग्लिश कौन बोलता है अभी? अभी रॉबिन उत्तपा बोलता है.
Hmm.
तो रॉबिन उत्तपा का एंगल वाज, मतलब इतना ब्यूटीफुल था ना. आई वाज लाइक कि भाई जैरेड, हाउ आर यू इवन लाइक लिसनिंग टू दिस? रॉबिन
क्या बोल
उत्तपा
रहा है?
says he was speaking to somebody in Hong Kong cricket, and they were telling him how important the India Pakistan game is in terms of revenues for them. Of course it is, यार, सबको पता है. किसको ज्ञान दे रहा है? But you're trying to justify all of this with all these, क्या बोलते हैं, side stories and everything. कौन बेवकूफ है? मतलब I guess बहुत बेवकूफ है, which is why
Uh,
वो बोल भी
no,
रहा है
like,
इतना आसानी
please,
से.
I don't know if you meant it rhetorically, but no. I think enough people are gullible and ready to drink the Kool-Aid, whatever you serve them. And that's what, like, the spine of our conversation today. The boycott was a choreographed effort by people on social media, mostly blue ticks, the foot soldiers of Indian cricket ecosystem. Um, and even like BCCI and the broadcasters, they're saying this is an added dramatic effect on what is a completely dramatized clash. This is like a very new filter to through this through, and this will make it more interesting, more fun. I have no doubt everyone watched it. Um, and if 1 out of 100 didn't watch it, it doesn't make a difference.
And
I think
it's
the other
and
side which I wanted to bring in was कि uh, करीब जब से आई थिंक ये पॉडकास्ट चल रहा है, तब से लोग खाली यही बोलते हैं, डोंट ब्रिंग पॉलिटिक्स इनटू क्रिकेट. ठीक है?
Hmm.
लाइक दैट्स समथिंग, आई मीन, आई थिंक all of us in our conversations have also heard it, not just like the podcast per se, whether it's BJPod or PCCI, whatever it is. So what, how do you justify the fact that your captain goes into a press conference wearing a Jacob and Co 35 lakh rupee watch, which is a Ram
एंड
Janmabhoomi edition watch?
उस वॉच के बारे में तो सायम अयूब ने तो जिंदगी में उतना पैसा नहीं देखा होगा जितना उस घड़ी का दाम है. This is the kind of comedy that is
हाँ,
happening among people who choose to
comedy
cover
that is
this.
happening.
हाँ.
And the captain says that we are aligned, the BCCI, the government and the players. तो अब क्रिकेट पॉलिटिकल है या नहीं है,
या
ये भी
नहीं है.
डिसाइड कर लो.
And
ये
then
तो
this
मतलब
is
अब तो खुला है ना.
then it is a slippery
Because
slope.
now I feel, हाँ, it's a slippery slope, exactly.
क्योंकि the moment again the sport being this non-zero chance wala, given the number of encounters that you have and given how fickle T20 is, someday you will lose a game. And then does it mean we don't respect the Pahalgam victims as much? Does it mean civilizationally the other side has won if they choose to project that onto their victory someday? When? And then this is not like a dedication to an oppressed people or dedication to a people who have lost lives, matlab, say to a cyclone or something like that. Sport can
I think,
mean, as sport can be a healing vehicle, we all agree. But this coming from these people who have all these days said that अलग रखो, because अलग तो तुम फिर taking the knee से तुमको problem होता है उस टाइम पे, क्योंकि then
अरे
you
भाई,
say हाँ,
तुमको तुमको तो गाजा से प्रॉब्लम था.
गाजा से प्रॉब्लम था.
तुम्हारे पूरे देश को गाजा से प्रॉब्लम था when your
हम्म,
government's position was completely the opposite on Gaza.
it still is even when
हाँ.
पैलेस्टीन का एज अ
Exactly.
स्टेटहुड को लेके जब वोट होता है तो इंडिया कंसिस्टेंटली वोट्स इन फेवर. सो
And India was one of
एंड
the first to recognize Palestine. Like it
हाँ,
goes long
एंड
back to the
गाजा से
But
प्रॉब्लम भी वही है
pre-independence
ना.
again, यार, like,
प्रॉब्लम
50
कम्स.
years pre-independence.
And then just everything you can just boil it down concentrated to this one thing. गाजा से कुछ कुछ पता नहीं है क्या हो रहा है, बट वहां रहता कौन है? मुसलमान रहता है. तो गाजा से मेरा डिफॉल्ट स्टैंड ये होना चाहिए कि गाजा से प्रॉब्लम है, बस.
Also, like I think when who said something about Gaza, I think it was Mohammad Rizwan, where
हाँ,
one of our
वर्ल्ड कप
sports truck
मैचेस.
anchors, he put a quote tweet saying, "Is this allowed?" He tagged the ICC, he
विकी पी.
tagged like the Wiki Vikrant Puran.
हाँ,
So now, and he's put out a tweet saying, "This is great. I love Surya Kumar Yadav. He's a winner. I'm so glad he spoke about this." So it's everything is down to convenience, like in the sense that the narrative we want to put out for ourselves, that if we are not aligned to this, then it's a problem. If
प्रॉब्लम.
we are aligned to this, this is the only way to do this. Uh, Look, I don't think most of the mainstream media who are covering this, and by media I don't mean channels specifically, I just mean the big shot anchors. I don't think they either have the first iota of journalism left in them. So they are here for the likes, the views. It's
the
sad
the
to
the
see ex
current news
cricketers
cycle.
going. The current news cycle. It's very sad to see ex cricketers going them. I was terribly disappointed by the kind of guest Michael Clark is calling. I think you're better than that, pup, man. I mean, you
They are
don't
all
need to
pandering to
bring
this
up
mob, right?
whole pandering. It's
Without
quite terrible.
knowing fully
Um,
that
and
such a
he's doing
low
it because
IQ.
it's going to get him eyesight. It's going to get him. I mean, I am not for a second willing to believe that Michael Clark woke up in a morning and said, "You know what my dream conversation is? Lalit Kumar Modi." I don't think that happened in his career. He's
So,
met enough actual cricket people. So
even the sucking up to Lalit Modi from Indian cricket fans, क्यों? मतलब why? एक आदमी पैसा बनाया, लोगों को बेवकूफ बनाया, वो भाग गया देश से. तो why are you feeling proud just because that man, मतलब वो हिंदू है उतना ही है ना, मतलब
dude, we felt for Vijay Mallya after that podcast recently, where
शमानी.
people were like, "Wow, his life was such struggle."
एक तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, कि ये भी रियलिटी है, ठीक है, कि ये देश में ना गरीबी इतना है इतना ज्यादा है ना कि कोई भी अमीर आदमी इज भगवान। ठीक है,
एंड
ये
एंड
रियलिटी है।
एंड ये लोग जो बोल रहे हैं ना, इसका हाथ में घड़ी इतना है, ऐसा है, मयूब क्या ट्विटर पे करके नाच रहे हैं। हम लोग कभी जिंदगी में वो घड़ी की जितना पैसा कभी देखेंगे नहीं। तुमको किस चीज का मतलब दूसरे को भिखारी बोल के तुमको ये कौन सा ये तुमको वैलिडेशन मिल रहा है कि तुम्हारे कंट्री के किसी ने वो घड़ी खरीद लिया, या उसका जैकेट का दाम इतना है तो तू क्यों खुश
Because
हो रहा
every
है?
time you're calling Sai Mayom a bhikari,
हाँ,
it is a bullet, metaphorical bullet you fired as a soldier of your country.
कंट्री।
All of us are Javans in this. Like in today's world, you are a Javan, you are fighting our battle on the internet or on the border or in tech. If you're not a Javan, you're an anti-national.
क्या इंटेलेक्चुअल
You
वॉरफेयर,
pick.
व्हाट इज इट कॉल्ड? वो कुछ बोला था ना बीच में, क्या था वो? कुछ एक वर्ड है उसके लिए, हर चीज के लिए एक जार्गन होता है ना, ऑल दिस अभिजीत मित्रा टाइप लोग जो ऐसा बनाते हैं
हाँ कुछ तो so
साइऑप्स।
psyops. So you have to indulge in psyops. So this is psyops. When you call, Fakhar Zaman, when you call him a bhikari, while sitting inside a room of your parents' house, having single digit IQ, you're calling an international World Cup playing Champions Trophy winning cricketer a bhikari when you're doing that. You are firing a bullet. And you are proudly telling your friends, मैंने फखर जमान को भिखारी बोला.
और ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ बीसीसीआई, जो तेरे बॉयकॉट को भी नहीं सुनता, तुम्हारा सेंटिमेंट, जो बिगेटेड क्राउड के सेंटिमेंट जिसके पैसे से वो अभी इतना पैसा बनाया है उसने, वो खुद सुनने भी नहीं वाला है तेरा। अनुराग ठाकुर जिसको तुम लोग देश के गद्दारों को बोल के वो ये करता है, नॉट फॉर अ मोमेंट इज ही गोइंग टू कंसिडर कि अच्छा
At this
मेरे ही
point, it doesn't
ऑडियंस ने
matter.
बॉयकॉट मांगा है।
At this point, it doesn't matter. I think, and I'm willing to go out on a limb and say this, they have gone so far in their hysteria that now their figurehead is a silhouette.
हम्म,
It can be whoever,
हम्म,
and it can be somebody completely irrelevant, and they will still go. They are going just by the force of we hate a kind of people.
हम्म,
We have been given the license to not only hate, but broadcast our hate and do vile things to them. So now I am out. I am surrounded by these 10 million people around with me. So figurehead can be whoever. Like I don't think any of them think these guys who are now their current figureheads, they'll last for the next 50 years. They'll go in 10 years. Somebody else will come. And, and they will, in a similar almost, they will be very vehemently behind them as well.
हम्म,
So it's got nothing to do with Anurag Thakur or Lalit Modi or Jay Shah or Amit Shah anymore. It is we hate Pakistan. We need to tell you 25 times every day that we hate Pakistan. And that has nothing to do with the fact that Pakistan has come in and killed people. If it had anything to
एग्जैक्टली।
do with it, we would have first in your building if there's a robbery, like what happened with Saif, right? Your first your first action is to chase the thief and then file an FIR against the thief. 100%. You file an FIR if you have caught him on camera, CCTV, you file an FIR against this guy. You want the police to arrest this guy. The second course of action is to go up to the security agency who's responsible for the security in your building and say, bro, what the fuck? Except it's easier to do the first bit. The second bit is uncomfortable because saying what the fuck to the security agency is like asking your dad, why did you scold me? Because you had a bad day at office. You don't do that. So it's the hatred towards Pakistan is, like you pointed out earlier, far more ingrained in other problematic things. It has very little to do with what Pakistan have done as an army, like alternate militia, the stuff they have pulled. It's because if it was truly that, you would have found a nuanced way to address it, which,
And with China, for example,
yeah,
there is an actual border dispute. You lost soldiers 3 years ago.
बॉस वो आ गए,
हाँ, and
they
then
are here,
you
the
lost
Pat Bangkok.
part of
Those
your
guys are
territory
sitting
is
on the
gone.
Amir Khan thing they put
But
there.
but the reason you're so comfortable with this idea of like अभी तुरंत अभी चाइना बेस्ट है, क्या मस्त हो गया देश, देखो मोदी जी गले मिल रहे हैं, अभी दिल चाहता है हो रहा है रशिया और इंडिया और चाइना का, ये सब all that is possible only because there is no element of religion attached to China.
Yeah.
It's not a
And
religion that you cannot profiteer from it domestically in elections, and then it's not about a religion or a faith that you hate. So you can very quickly switch positions when it comes to China, forget everything that happened there.
couldn't agree more. It's the same with the second vilest things we say are all against, say, Bangladesh.
Hmm.
And it's the same. Like,
Hmm.
there is Bangladesh is like legitimately little brother. Like, you have that kind of bully, class
Hmm.
bully kind of vibe going with Bangladesh. But I agree. I mean, we haven't asked the tough questions. Boycott was our way of saying,
And
hey, we
those who
hate
haven't,
Pakistan.
right? Those who haven't boycotted also, maybe I'll just end with this one thing that I wanted to say. Everyone who chose to cover it because यार मल्टीलैटरल टूर्नामेंट कवर करना पड़ता है एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, सबका यही है मैच के बाद में दे हैव बीन वेटिंग टू ऐसा सिविलाइजेशनली किसी को मैं कैसे शर्मिंदा कर पाऊं, मतलब मैच
हाँ,
का स्पोर्ट को इसके लिए यूज करना है कि एक एंटायर पॉपुलेशन को भिखारी बोलने के लिए लेजिटिमेट रीजन, वो ये एक्चुअल कंटेंट बन के जा रहा है फ्रॉम पीपल हु हैव मिलियंस एंड मिलियंस, एंड दैट्स व्हाट इंटरनेट रिवॉर्ड्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली.
yeah.
बट द थिंग
And
है, इसका
everyone
घड़ी का
gets to have
दाम
a
क्या
glory.
है? हार्दिक पांड्या का घड़ी इज मोर एक्सपेंसिव देन द होल ऑफ पाकिस्तान टीम्स इनकम्स एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट. कैसे हमारा जीडीपी नंबर 5 है, इनका कुछ नहीं है, इसका क्या लेना देना है इसका कोई. एंड दिस इज व्हाई स्पोर्ट को जब तुम इस डायरेक्शन में लेके जाते हो ना, द वन थिंग अबाउट स्पोर्ट इज दैट you will play 100 game, you might have like a billion times more resources than some other team, but there will be that one random day in a world cup where even an associate nation might beat. आज नहीं हो रहा है but किसी ना किसी दिन होगा. On a bad day you'll slip on a banana peel and then that will happen, and then फिर तुम रोते हो कि पूरा दुनिया बैठा है हमारे बारे में, everyone's enjoying India
The
getting
day
knocked
we
out
lose
in
to
the group stage.
Pakistan, it would be the cringiest revenge edit
Hmm.
content wave ever.
From the other side, you have
From us, if we the day we
huh,
lose to, and such a day will come, right? You can't forever beat somebody.
beat
Such a day
someone,
will come.
will come.
One
Hey,
day the stars
but
won't align, we will lose, and it will be this wave of revenge content that now we have to, now we
And
have to.
to be fair to these cricketers over the last over many decades, I think the cricketers themselves have done very little on field to fuel this. So which has ensured that
They haven't. They've been so
tempers
nice.
in the crowd have never swelled,
They've been
swollen.
so civil about it. Kohli being
You've
the
had
shining example.
Kohli has done very well. Even Dhoni, for all his demerits of wearing the army cap and stuff, they never did anything on field which was disrespectful to that extent, which has ensured
No,
that
no, never, never.
crowds have never really
until now.
gotten out of hand. But now with this man as
Yeah,
our
I think a lot
coach,
of these players will not do it if left to their wares.
yes, because players fundamentally are aware of this fact that sporting success is not guaranteed, right? Because failures are inevitable. So, and you will lose to any team on a bad day. So, players themselves would know this. So, they wouldn't be on the side of placing way too much weightage on a particular random game of sport. But left to Gambhir and the way, if it keeps going down this path, then crowds beating each other up, that's eventually what they want, right? So you remember there's this
And it
very
will
ये दिस
happen.
अरे ये कल कल मैं मतलब देखा कि वो क्या नाम है वो सचिन फैन का
Sudhir
वो
Gautam,
10
Sudhir.
सुधीर ही वेंट एंड आई थिंक ही
hug
मेंट
this.
एंड मेट चचा.
हाँ,
हाँ, तो बोले अरे इस साले का स्पॉन्सरशिप रोको, इसको
रोको.
साला मैच देखना बंद कराओ.
बिकॉज कोई भी तुम्हारा वर्ल्ड व्यू में नहीं फिट होता है हेट का, वो ऐसा यूनिलैटरली सबको हेट करना चाहिए, तब जाके वो पेट्रियट बनता है. तो सुधीर गौतम
हाँ
जो मतलब घर बार छोड़ के वो इस टीम के पीछे डेकेड से घूम रहा है, उसको पेट्रियोटिज्म उसका 1 मिनट के लिए क्वेश्चन हो जाएगा, क्योंकि उसने उसके साथ में फ्लैग
we
एक्सचेंज करके
reduced Neeraj Chopra.
हाँ
We made Neeraj Chopra prove his patriotism.
पेट्रियोटिज्म
Neeraj Chopra.
हाँ हाँ
Because why? Because him and his mother have this thing that is so missing in all of us called grace. So when they lost, they were graceful losers. When they won, they were graceful winners.
विनर्स.
Arshad Nadeem's mother, incredibly graceful lady. Arshad Nadeem, super graceful. But
तो
we're like, how dare you?
अभी in a very perverse way, this game happening has kind of like it has defanged this whole thing without them wanting it to be that. So अभी इसके बाद ना मतलब if the other two games happen, that'll be Gautam Gambhir trying his very best and all of them doing it. But the fact that this game happened either way kind of defangs it for Neeraj Chopra or the Women's World Cup game that will happen next month and
It
all of
does,
that.
yeah. I think there will be that thing. You will always almost like kind of force it on the women that you can't shake hands with the Pakistan
And
women's team now.
and they have had like really good like social media moments with the Pakistan women's team.
They were chilling with that Sana Mir's daughter,
Sana
man.
Mir's daughter
भाई
and all of that.
एक सेकंड अरे we were talking about Wasim Akram gifting something to Sachin for his son's birth, right?
Bumrah also had that moment.
Exactly ना
Last Asia
मतलब
Cup, basically.
last Asia Cup. So मतलब
And you expect all of this to even just overnight just because
नहीं यार, all of this will continue, just that it will continue in a hotel lobby.
hotel
That's
lobby.
all.
उतना ही.
The players are far better. That Sharda Ugra article, I do want to talk about that. Before the 2023 World Cup match at the Orange Fish Bowl, the BCCI sent a set of jerseys to the India team, saying that it's on a Sunday. We want us to wear an orange jersey. It'll be an orange versus green game. The Indian team, the dressing room, not BCCI, the Indian team turned it down, saying we are not doing it. No chance. A, blue is sacred to us. B, there are Muslims in our team. It will be incredibly disrespectful to them. So the boys are very, very respectful to each other. A lot of the things that they are almost forced to say on camera are not authentic to what they are. They are saying it because they kind of have to.
But they've
But
also
generally, the boys have been great, and like they have done everything to not just be civil, but to almost. There's a picture of Rishabh and Shaheen with hands on each other's backs. It's the most beautiful picture of as they're walking out for the national anthems. That's neither going to vanish overnight, nor will these guys suddenly lose the sense of dignity and respect.
But now
they'll have to pander to BCCI.
But now the posturing has to be of a certain way, which is sad.
Yeah, which is sad because these guys come out looking like loonies and non-sport.
In let's say 15-20 years, jab the next Vikram Sathe or somebody is going to interview them, they are going to spill some stories out, right?
100%.
तब निकलेगा ना कि क्या हो रहा था, क्या नहीं हो रहा था.
क्योंकि जब साहबजादा फरहान साहबजादा ने 6 मारा बुमराह को, the camera cut to Surya Kumar's face and he had a genuine look of amazement and appreciation because that first 6 was some bloody shot, yeah. So that look of dude, wow. And then suddenly he's like, hey, I can't acknowledge your presence here. And that wasn't Sky being Sky. That was him being captain of BCCI.
All of this was also much easier for them to do because, as you said, the Pakistan team as a cricket team is at its weakest. Their captain is not a big name. It would have been difficult even with a Babar Azam as a Pakistan captain, like to do this snub or something. Because, and if Kohli was your captain, the fact that
Kohli was the first to go to Babar and Rizwan after the 10-wicket drubbing. He was the first to go and hug them.
If Kohli was your captain, this would not have, it would have been much more difficult for you to pull off this very crass, opportunistic,
Yeah.
jingoistic
This,
signaling.
like, there are,
This is the coach's team, basically.
as a
And
statesman of cricket, of respect for fellow cricketers, Kohli had that thing of being very Delhi, so he'd abuse anyone and everyone. But in terms of being a statesman, being respectful of other cricketers, Kohli is one of the best India has had. And I say this as a generation who saw some very, very nice men play cricket for India. Kohli's ability to look past rivalry and everything and literally embrace the other team is unrivaled in India. So, no, he wouldn't have let this happen. I have no doubts about it.
so वही और क्या है बोलने के लिए? So just
War minus the shooting.
so I just had this one very prescient paragraph from War Minus the Shooting. This is the very end of the book. After the
So
96 World Cup
just
ends.
before I think you say this, I think मैं लोगों श्रोताओं को बता दूं कि आदित्य had prepared for this podcast, ठीक है? तो इसके लिए भी आप अपने जहां पे भी सुन रहे हैं, आप एक स्माइल और एक ताली जरूर बजाइएगा. हाँ.
या 1.5 घंटा हमने एक दूसरे को डॉक्स नहीं किया, तो जस्ट बिफोर एंडिंग यू डॉक्स
अरे ठीक
it. Go for it.
तो this is just after the 96 World Cup ends, and the reality of 96 is not very far from what it is today. There is no bilateral cricket happening, and then there is talks of Sahara Cup happening in Toronto. So he writes this about that. So I think the context is that with the appearance of IMG on the scene, IMG still exists and it's still broadcasting a lot of India's cricket. Cricket's greatest rivalry could undergo a similar transformation. Since live spectators are no longer of any financial consequence, India may as well play Pakistan in the Antarctic as long as satellite television can beam these images back to the subcontinent. The principal irony of the Friendship Cup is that it cannot be held in either India or Pakistan. So, what kind of friendship is being celebrated here? This is War Minus the Shooting, adapted for the entertainment industry of the 21st century. The experience of Sharjah shows that the sublimation of India Pakistan rivalry offshore intensifies it onshore. Globalization creates not a global culture of sport, but a televised substitute for it, in which national identities are commercial playthings. For all the pains and perils of playing on home soil in front of unruly and partisan spectators, the only hope of reclaiming cricket in the subcontinent from bigots and demagogues lies with the crowds themselves. Only in the democratic domain, where cricket and its meanings are shared and shaped by multitudes, can there arise a force strong enough to override the manipulations of the elite. So, wahi,
Prescient
I think it was
Marcusy.
written 30 years ago, but as an outsider,
Mike Marcusy saw things in 93, 94 that are happening now.
तो पढ़िए.
got behind.
1 करो रिकॉर्डिंग. ऑफलाइन बातें करते हैं.